Welcome to the Corporate Work Study Program Supervisor Training. We want every supervisor working with our Notre Dame Cristo Rey students to have an understanding of the Corporate Work Study Program and have the best tools for working with our students. This presentation is a great resource for both new and returning supervisors to the Corporate Work Study Program. Notre Dame Cristo Rey High School in Lawrence combines an affordable Catholic college preparatory education with corporate work study experience for students from economically challenged families in the culturally sensitive tradition of the Sisters of Notre Dame de Namur. The unique corporate work study program at NDCR is nothing short of a revolution in education, benefiting the most deserving young people from economically challenged communities. The fee paid by the corporate partners offsets each student's tuition at a private high school by roughly 60%. Students are literally working to earn their education at over 70 regional businesses in and around the Merrimack Valley, Route 93-128 corridors, and the southern New Hampshire area that range from Fortune 500 companies to community banks and local law and accounting firms. The young men and women at NDCR and 31 other schools across the country, all part of the nationally recognized Cristo Rey network, are defying the odds, proving daily that ambition, solid education, and the investment of corporate America is a winning formula for success. To view our Lawrence Success Story video about our program, click on the link in our description. In this training, we are going to cover 3 topics. First, we will discuss the larger family of the Cristo Rey network, of which Notre Dame Cristo Rey High School is a part, as well as background on Notre Dame Cristo Rey High School. Next, we will talk about some key CWSP policies, which all supervisors should be aware. Last, we will share some tips and tools for being a successful CWSP supervisor. The first Cristo Rey school was started in Pilsen Little Village in Chicago, Illinois. Catholic educators had found it was getting more and more difficult for those students from families with limited income to afford going to a Catholic school. Founded by the Jesuits, Cristo Rey Jesuit High School opened in 1996 with a corporate work study program in order to help disadvantaged students and families get access to a college prep education and acceptance to college. After the model success in Chicago, funding came from a number of sources in 2003 to help replicate the formula around the country. B.J. Casson was originally approached by Cristo Rey Jesuit High School about funding for a new gym. After hearing about the school, B.J. Casson decided not to fund the gym, but rather provide the money to replicate the new model. B.J. Casson and the Casson Educational Initiative Foundation, as well as the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, provided the seed money to complete feasibility studies in targeted cities in the U.S. This led to the start of 10 new schools opening in 2004 in the now Cristo Rey network, including our school, Notre Dame Cristo Rey High School in Lawrence, and Cristo Rey Boston in Dorchester. Since that time, the Cristo Rey network expanded to 32 schools in 22 states around the U.S. When you think about your participation in the corporate work study program, realize you are part of a much larger community. There are 2,325 partners and 10,000 students participating in the corporate work study program nationwide. In addition to the opportunities provided by the students' experience in CWSP, students are also given the advantage of our partnership with 46 universities and colleges in the United States. Because of the reputation of the students in Cristo Rey schools, our students rise to the top of the pile in the college application process. NDCR is a school sponsored and run by the Sisters of Notre Dame de Namur. The sisters came to Lawrence, Mass. In 1859 to work with the children of the mill workers, and they have remained serving the newest immigrants through education and parish work, as well as working with citizenship and English as a second language. In addition to working at NDCR, Sisters also staff the Notre Dame Education Center in Lawrence. Sisters of Notre Dame de Namur are recognized as outstanding educators, and over the years, thousands of sisters have taught children and adults on 5 continents. Although many sisters continue to staff schools, others have chosen to work with the homeless, AIDS patients, the elderly, poor, and countless others in need of help. All this activity has one aim: to proclaim in our time, as St. Julie did in hers, that God is good. In 2004, the Sisters of Notre Dame officially opened the doors of NDCR to 80 freshmen. In 2006, the school began a $5 million capital campaign to make improvements to the nearly 100-year-old building. The improvements transformed the building from an aging structure to a first-rate educational facility. The dramatic renovations were complete in September of 2009. In 2008, NDCR celebrated its first graduation. All 57 graduates were successfully accepted into 4-year colleges. NDCR continues to keep connected with its graduates to ensure that we have they have our support to complete college. In 2008, NDCR also received accreditation from the New England Association of Schools and Colleges. Being accredited by the NEASC ensures that we strive to achieve rigorous and common standards in education, demonstrate substantive institutional commitment to continual improvement, commit to balancing the creative tensions that exist between local autonomy and public authority, and nurture individual creative accomplishment. Notre Dame Cristo Rey High School has been called a little piece of heaven in the city of Lawrence. Our school currently educates 248 students who come mostly from the city of Lawrence and are of Latino descent, the majority coming from the Dominican Republic. Our students are the first in their families to attend college with a median income of $31,800 a year. There are limits set on how much money a family can have in order for their son or daughter to attend Notre Dame. This is because our school is aimed at students who can't afford to attend other private college prep high schools. Our claim to fame has been the 100% acceptance rate to four-year colleges. While not all students are able to attend a four-year school after graduation because of finances, they know they are capable of that level of work. Not only do our students get accepted to college, 98% of our students stay in college from freshman to sophomore year. Recently, we were notified of a great accomplishment for our class of 2009. 69% of our students graduated from college, compared to only 15% of students from a similar background. The Corporal Work Study program is particularly proud of our Notre Dame students because of their outstanding work performance. As you can see from the chart, our students are ranked number 1 in the network for overall performance in the workplace, compared to the other 30 schools in the Cristo Rey network. Notre Dame Cristo Rey High School has held this first-place distinction for the last 7 times. These results are based on the mid-year and year-end performance review surveys completed by our supervisors every year. If you are a returning supervisor, you may remember completing one of these last year. Supervisors are asked to rate their students on a number of professional skills such as initiative, judgment, and communication. Our NDCR students have outperformed their counterparts across the country on these skills for the past 3.5 years. Our students' performance is in large part due to the wonderful and dedicated supervisors our students work with every day. As you can see, we are very proud of the accomplishments of our students. We believe that our students reach such accomplishments because of the high standards we hold the students to at work and school. We know we ask a lot of our students, but when challenged, our students rise to the occasion. In order to continue to hold these high standards, we want to make you aware of some of the key CWSP policies. As you probably know by now, every workday students come to work with a blue time card. The tracking of the students' hours is required by the Department of Labor, but is also a great opportunity to get feedback on a student's performance. Every day, your student should have a designated person in the department rate their performance for that day. Timecard ratings help students know where they stand performance-wise and are factored into their quarterly CWSP grade. When the students are rated on their performance every day, this helps facilitate discussion between students and supervisors. Students want to do well. Give the students the feedback. If students are falling short and are graded lower on a particular day, students will self-correct. Many supervisors are afraid to give constructive criticism or rate students with 1s or 2s because they do not want to hurt the students' feelings or their grade. One lower time card grade will not pull their term grade down too far, as there are many things factored into their corporate work study grade. Students will not grow professionally if they are not given the feedback. We will share some techniques later on how to give constructive feedback in the presentation. Time cards are also great to help highlight outstanding work by the students. If your student really goes above and beyond, tell us about it. Students who are given really glowing remarks in the comments on their time cards are awarded a High Praise Award. High Praise Awards are given to students during the all-school assemblies we hold twice a month. The student's grade also consists of a twice-a-year performance review, which I spoke about earlier in the presentation. These performance reviews are standardized by the Cristo Rey network. The performance review is the most detailed feedback we get on the student during the year and makes up a large portion of the student's grade. We really encourage consistency between the time cards and performance reviews. For example, students receiving 5s all year should not be receiving a 1 or a 2 on a performance review. If students are not performing well at work, we need to hear from you as early as possible so students are not surprised on their performance review. This slide is to provide a visual of the time card. As you can see, students are rated on a scale from 1 to 5 every day, and we ask supervisors to sign off on their grade. Our contact information is below in case you need to ever get in touch with us. CWSP policies and procedures. One of the reasons we believe our students perform so well is because of the strict rules and high expectations set by Notre Dame Cristo Rey High School and the Corporal Work Study program. While a complete list of CWSP policies and procedures are included in the CWSP Handbook, we want to highlight a few of the most important ones. These 3 policies are part of what we call the slippery slope. Supervisors should be as strict as they can when it comes to cell phones, dress code, and absences, so that it does not get out of hand. As you know, cell phones have become such a prevalent part of today's culture and everyday life. This is even more so in the lives of young people. Because of this, we are particularly strict with the students regarding cell phone use at their work. Students should not be using cell phones at any point during their workday and can only have their phones out during their break times. We know students like to be connected at all times, and if their phones are out, then the temptation is to look at their phone. Related to this, we also urge supervisors not to let students listen to music at work, as this disconnects them from others in the office. Students with electronic devices out will be liable to check messages and other notifications on their devices. The policy at school is very strict regarding cell phone use. Students have to have devices off and out of sight all day. If a student is caught with their device out, the device is confiscated and are not given back until the end of the day. Repeat offenses also require parents to pick up the device instead of the student, as well as detentions. Dress code is also an important policy for Corporal Work Study. Students are required to wear their Notre Dame uniform to work to ensure that all students look professional in the workplace. On the next slide, you will see a photo of our picture-perfect students. The uniforms also show others in your company where our students come from and help spread the word about Notre Dame. Before our students wore their uniforms to work, many co-workers were surprised to hear that the students were only in high school, thinking they were perhaps college interns. They could not believe that someone so young was so professional. We want people to know about Notre Dame and see how great our students are. The last policy we would like to stress is attendance. We constantly remind students how much supervisors count on their work and the impact it has when they're absent. When students are absent, we coordinate makeup days with the supervisor and the student during one of the school vacations, such as Christmas, February, April, and June. We leave the decision up to supervisors about whether or not the day needs to be made up. We urge supervisors to have students complete makeup days, as this reinforces their importance to the team and their company. If supervisors waive the student absence, then it's more likely that the students will miss more days. That being said, Notre Dame had 3 snow days last year, and many supervisors were kind enough to waive their snow days for their students. We are hoping we have a milder winter than last year. If you have absent students, CWSP will contact you in the weeks before school vacation to discuss makeup options. Picture-perfect students. Students wear navy blue or khaki pants, and girls can wear skirts. On top, students wear either a navy blue or white button-up shirt and must wear either a sweater vest or cardigans to work. As you can see from the photo, our students look great in their uniforms, and it ensures that students are presenting their best selves at work. We do have a small number of work sites where the nature of the work would damage their uniform or restrict their ability to work. In those cases, we arrange for a uniform allowance contract, and the students are given a Notre Dame t-shirt to wear to work instead. Taking students off campus. When students are at work, they are the responsibility of Notre Dame and the Corporal Work Study program. Because of this, NDCR students are not allowed to leave their worksite without a supervisor. If supervisors would like to take students off campus for lunch, meetings, etc., there are just a few ground rules. Corporal Work Study should be contacted with as much notice as possible with information about the trip. Supervisors will be asked to complete an off-campus request form. Included in the requested information will be the cell phone numbers for those adults on the trip in case we need to get in touch. If a supervisor would like to take a student off campus to a nearby location and will be walking, then only one supervisor needs to be present. If a student will be traveling in a car, then 2 adults must be present. This 2-adult consideration is a recent update in policy for students and came out of a discussion with the Cristo Rey network. To ensure the student safety, we are now requiring 2 adults. Our student safety is our top priority. This is our list of top 10 tips for supervisors. You may already be using some of these tips with your students, but if not, hopefully it gives you some ideas for working with your students. We will send you a more detailed copy of the top 10 list so you can have it for your reference and share with others. Tip number 10. Include students in your organization's culture as much as possible. Involve the students in company events, and give them company trinkets like water bottles and keychains. Include them in your company's newsletter and introduce them to those in the company, not just in your department. Small things like this go a long way to making your student feel like a regular employee and a professional in the workplace. Tip number 9. Find a mentor for the students. We know supervisors are often busy. Find someone in the office who can take the student under their wing and show them the ropes. You can also ask the student about their interests and see about connecting them with someone in a related field. This makes students feel more connected to the company and gives them exposure to career paths they may not have thought about before. Tip number 8. Provide a variety of resources for students to reference. Provide the student with a map of the company campus, a phone directory of employees and departments, as well as a script for answering calls or computer process instructions. These will allow your student to feel more secure about what they need to do, as well as to allow them to be more independent because they can address issues on their own. Tip number 7. Encourage student ownership of tasks and projects. Explain to the student the larger role their mundane tasks play in the big picture of the company. Why is it important that students complete that scanning, filing, or mailing? If students understand how important a task is to the company, it creates a sense of ownership and responsibility. Students feel important and know that they are contributing to a team effort. Tip number 6. Keep students busy. Provide students with a daily schedule so students can jump into work as soon as they arrive. Create a list of backup projects that students can work on when they finish more urgent projects. Also, create a chain of command so that if their main supervisor is unavailable, they know who to turn to for work. This type of planning allows the students to take initiative as well as avoid downtime. If students know they will be busy all day, they feel needed and helpful. Tip number 5. Provide multiple methods of instruction and explanation. People learn in different ways. Give instructions to students verbally, ask students to take notes, and perhaps provide a cheat sheet when doing new tasks. If doing a large project, it is always good to do one together and then let students run with the project. That way, if a student misunderstood the directions, you can figure it out together. Another trick would be to have the students say back to you the instructions after you've explained something. This promotes good communication between student and supervisor. It also reduces frustration for both student and supervisor by minimizing mistakes and misunderstandings. Tip number 4. Provide regular feedback and say thank you often. Use the sandwich method for feedback. Supervisors often find it hard to give students constructive criticism because they are afraid of hurting the students' feelings. Our students do an excellent job of correcting themselves, but they need to know what they're doing wrong. When giving feedback to a student, use the sandwich method. First, start with a large, fluffy piece of bread. What has the student done really well today? For example, I love the way you always come in with a smile on your face and get right to work. Next comes the meat of the sandwich. No baloney. Talk to them about what they need to do to improve some shortcoming. When you completed the last report for me, I saw there were some spelling errors. Perhaps before passing in your work next time, you should spell check and read aloud your report. Last, end with another fluffy piece of bread. I believe in you. I know you are a hard worker and are capable of fixing your own mistakes. Giving feedback like this will help students feel supported rather than discouraged. Saying thank you is also an important part of the feedback process. Saying thank you to your student is a simple way to make a student feel appreciated. In your own life, you know how great you feel when someone tells you thank you for all things, big and small. Saying thank you to students helps build relationships and makes your student feel like they matter. Tip number 3. Make your expectations clear and hold students accountable. Set limits on projects and help students set priorities on what needs to be completed first. Make sure your student knows what the stakes are if the project is not finished on time. Clear expectations reduce mistakes and frustration for both the supervisor and the student. Students are more likely to excel when they know what you expect. Tip number 2, maintain regular communication with CWSP staff. Let us know how the students are doing. We want to hear the good and the bad. We give students recognition for their good work, for example, with high praise awards. When it comes to student issues, no problem is too small. The CWSP staff is here to help, but we cannot help if we don't know about an issue at work. Keep us updated through calls, time cards, emails, etc. If we are able to help at the first sign of trouble, we can stop these issues from becoming bigger problems. We want to ensure that the CWSP experience is fulfilling for everyone. Tip number 1, have fun. Our students are fun to work with. Students bring an extra energy to the workplace and are excited about meeting new people and learning new skills. Include the students in company celebrations if appropriate, and show them work can be fun too. Students who feel connected to the companies and coworkers are happier and more successful workers. And the secret bonus tip, students love food. If you share food with them, they will love you. Snacks, treats, etc., they love it all. You may already be using some of these tips with your students, but if not, hopefully it gives you some ideas for working with them. Tips and tools for supervisors. We tell supervisors if they can manage student workers, then they can manage anyone. Working with our students is a great learning experience for professionals to help develop their managerial skills. Hopefully these tips will be helpful for you with our students and beyond. Supervisor resources. Available to supervisors are some additional resources. This year, Corporal Work Study has acquired subscriptions to the computer training program Skillsoft for our students. This program helps students improve their computer skills for the workplace. Our freshman, sophomore, and junior classes are already up and running on the program to improve their computer skills. We know that computer skills are becoming more and more important in the workplace. If you find your student is struggling with computer projects or has extra downtime at work, they may be able to be working on different Skillsoft modules online. Please contact Corporal Work Study if you are interested in more information. Our Notre Dame Cristo Rey website is also a great resource for our supervisors. Available online are printable time cards, the Corporal Work Study calendar, makeup forms, and student and supervisor handbooks. You can visit www.ndcrhs.org to access these resources. Corporal Work Study has started a dedicated group on LinkedIn for supervisors to ask questions and discuss the program. Feel free to join our group using the link on the screen. We also would love to know what's happening at your organizations. Please send us any photos, newsletters, or any other updates about what our students are doing at your job site. To know more about what's going on at NDCR, you should be receiving e-newsletters from us every month. Also, please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and the NDCR LinkedIn page. The key to our program is communication. We want to know what is going on with your companies and with your students. Call us, email, or send a note in your student's time card. We are here to help. We'll also be checking in later in the year for our site visits. The U.S. Department of Labor requires that we conduct 2 visits per year to ensure the student's safety in the workplace. These are mostly a formality, but a great way to meet with supervisors face-to-face. One visit is usually conducted in the fall and the other in the spring. Fred Gilfeather, who supports Corporal Work Study on a part-time basis, conducts many of these visits. Many of you may already know Fred from last year. We hope this supervisor training has been helpful and that we have covered many of the questions you have. If there's anything we have not covered, please feel free to give us a call. Thank you so much for your time. We look forward to having a successful year.